The scramble for space, the quest to feed more mouths, lifestyle changes, air and plastic pollution, not to talk of the pursuit of wealth in the belly of the earth. The neglect of today's environment will cost the next generation their very survival if not checked.
The earth is under threat, and it's not just our forest.
Hope you enjoyed our first episode on ecosystem restoration. On June 5, 2021, the UN launched the Decade Action on Ecosystem Restoration, that is, Healing the Earth. At the launch of the event, one of the pleas of the UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, was for the drastic reduction in air pollution. And that brings me to my present location, Agbogbloshie, the hub of e-waste in Ghana, whose activities arguably impact negatively on the environment. I'm here to speak with them on their readiness to help in the healing process of the earth.
On a roll for 3 years in the Shedu-Keteke sub-metro, respiratory-related diseases topped the list of morbidity cases, ahead of malaria, hypertension, anemia, and acute urinary tract infections. In 2018, 10,619 upper respiratory tract infections were recorded, a 6.4% jump of the 2017 figure. The infection rate jumped to 18.9% in 2019 to hit 15,690. There was, however, a marginal drop of 17.9% in 2020 at 9,433. What are the major drivers of a surge in respiratory infections in this side of town? Fingers point at the high pollutants in the air within the area. Daily activities, specifically burning from Agbogbloshie.
Gases being produced there, they burn everything, anything electronic, from car tire to, you have carbon monoxide, you have even cyanide, different things, sulfur dioxide, different things in the air, different pollutants. Some of them are carcinogenic. By that I mean they cause cancers.
Waste knows no boundaries or borders. Manufactured or assembled in one part of the earth, used in another, and then disposed of, like the Agbogbloshie scrapyard, touted as the biggest e-waste hub in the world.
This is an old car, a taxi car, that is no more in use. So we went and bought it, and we are coming to remove every part, aluminium, every part. For a car there, we have all the categories of materials in there. So we have to take our time and extract every material separately. So as you can see, the iron part of it, he has cut everything. Now he will come to the engine. We have aluminium, we have wires, then he will separate them. So you can see that the whole car will come down. We'll just dismantle everything. That's what we are doing here. So the car that you see here will soon be cut off. The mechanics too do come here. You know that some of the old cars, they don't have parts again. So they rely on some of these old cars. You may go to Abosoka and they tell you that car, they don't bring the parts again. So you have to come here. If you are lucky, we have that old car, and you see any part that you feel, then we sell for you. But when we remove it and we are not getting sale, then we just destroy it and go and sell it as raw material.
Statistics show that in 2019, over 53 million tons of e-waste were generated globally, over 9 million tons more than 5 years earlier, and about 80% of this figure ends up here.
The e-waste, again, is a big problem in this country, but we have made a lot of effort in that area. As you know, a lot of the e-waste are in homes. In homes, because we hold on to our old gadgets. but a lot are also in, have been dumped in dumping sites and other areas indiscriminately.
He has started removing unwanted materials from the aluminium. Those materials are also of use, but they are not part of the aluminium. These are iron cast. So he's removing it and then leave the aluminium, so that you sell this differently, and this one you sell it differently. They all have their prices. As you can see now, this is a car radiator. They have removed the small things inside, leaving this one. So this one is not aluminium, but it is copper. The red pipes that you see here is copper. So that one, the price is also different. So they have to extract everything, leaving it barely like that, so that they can sell it as copper. That's what they are doing here.
Car parts, computers, fridges, laptops, electrical cables, televisions, old cars, mobile phones, and other metallic objects lie here at the e-waste hub, founded in 1997 by a group of 25. Now, their membership spans over 6,500 in the e-waste value chain.
Everything is being done by scaling. You can't sell something to someone without determining the weight of it. So everything that you put here, they have to determine the weight. The weight will tell you the amount that they will give you.
Driven by economic hardship, these men, mostly migrants from the northern parts of Ghana, source, collect, and dismantle these appliances for the ferrous scrap, being iron, and the non-ferrous materials, brass, aluminium, copper, stainless steel, and lead batteries, among others. Demand is high for some of these scarce resources only found here.
These are electricity old transformers that are not in use again. They have disposed them, and then they went and bought them. So what we are doing is that we will remove everything here. These boards have other use. You can see that he's extracting copper from the transformers, small transformers that they have inside the meter. So the copper, as you see here, that's the expensive material that you can find in the yard here. These are the modern TVs too. You know, some of the modern TVs too, talking about the plasma and the other groups. Here we also deal with them. As you can see, they have removed some of the engines. They have use. And then most of the TVs are home use ones. Mostly you can't get the parts to buy in town. So what we do is that they buy this way, remove the engines this way, and then they resell it to the repairers, whoever in needs of the parts, then they resell to them. So they will buy it in this state. They remove the engines, and then the body, most of the bodies are made up of iron. As you can see here, they have extracted iron from a TV. Very heavy. From a TV, that is the home use ones. So after that, he will sell this iron to those people who deal in iron, and he also sells the parts. You have aluminiums in there. So imagine he has 20 or 40 of this one. He will make money out of that, and then he sell the parts too. Then the other aspect of it will be disposed of.
It is on record that activities of the scrap dealers have helped reduce Ghana's huge imports of steel for the local manufacturing industries. It is estimated that they supply around 30 to 35,000 metric tons of iron to the local steel industry annually. used to manufacture iron rods and other construction materials.
These are car wheels made up of aluminium. They are on scale now. They are on scale. They will measure it and then they will determine the price. Then after the price has been given, then the person who is going to pay for it will pay for it and then send it to Tema. So when they send it to Tema and then they give it to the company so that the company will know whatever they are going to do with it. But if you look at the aluminium, it has so many uses. First, they use this on our aluminium zincs and so many aluminium materials, things. So this is what they are going to do. As you can see, this is an engine block. This is an engine block. We have removed the irony part of it, leaving the aluminium. The iron parts inside it have been removed, leaving it aluminium. So this, the head, then other things made up of aluminium. So they have, after they have sold it, this is the radiator of a car, made up of aluminium. So any aluminium material that is found here is being sold, so that they will send it to the company. Then the company will now decide on what product they will use it on. Basically, that is what the aluminium is used for here. But we have so many categories of aluminium, but these are from car parts that are made up of aluminium. But there are some other materials from other things that are also of aluminium. Those small aluminiums, those who are dismantling, this is one of the areas where they sell them. They will come and sell it to these people. Then from these people, they will also buy when they gather it, and then they will send it to the company. You know, if you have small one, you can't take it through to Tema to sell. The small ones, you have to come here, sell them to these people.
In their quest to break the poverty cycle or move away from the unemployment zone, workers here are exposed to various forms of harm, physically, mentally, and health-wise, knowingly or unknowingly.
Yes, of course. It is true that the activity that we are doing here and the smoke is exposing us to all respiratory, diseases. But these diseases are long-term, kind of effect. You feel the effect in the long term. You understand? So this is happening, and we are aware to the extent that even people surrounding us also are affected by this, negative burning.
The extraction of some metallic substances requires burning to get the end product. The process experts deem as not eco-friendly, putting the lives of not just the scrap dealers at risk, but residents in the entire metropolis. The danger is the release of toxic substances into the air, such as lead, carbon, and cadmium's oil. The negative impact extending to land and water, with the Odo River just nearby.
As far as the issue of the burning, it takes different forms. Now, when you look at the copper cables, there is a rubber surrounding the copper cable. That rubber, unless you burn the rubber before you can have access to the cable. So that particular activity generates burning. Now, these fridges, after removing the iron around it, there is a certain foam that is in the fridge. That particular material has no any value. So when the aluminum and copper is removed from the fridge, that one also generates burning. And some of these material also, like armatures of vehicles, there are certain iron that in vehicles that contain copper in them. You understand? You cannot be able to have access to the copper unless you burn the iron to soften it up before you can be able to remove the copper from it. So in a nutshell, these are some of the activities that generate burning. And even the computer parts, like the monitor, the plastic on the monitor and so on and so forth, all these things are negative materials that do not have any value. So after removing the positive fractions, the negative fractions, people resort them to burning.
As you can see, you see the metal part of it here, and there's a foam in between two ions here, or sometimes the inside will be plastic made up of rubber, but the iron is always at the upper part. So what we do is that we remove the iron, and then the foam, that is where we have problems with, because we don't have the use, and we can't also leave it that way. So we have to resort to burning. So which we are now coming to see how we can dispose it without burning it. But previously we were burning them. And this one, if you set fire on it, you see the amount of smoke that will come out. You wouldn't believe it, because it's a foam.
The experts say air pollution is caused by solid and liquid particles and certain gases that are suspended in the air.
We say air is polluted when it is contaminated with substances such as dust, particles, gaseous emissions, fumes, odor, in amounts or quantities that could cause harm to the environment or to man. And so over the years, EP have come to realize that the air, especially in the urban areas, are polluted.
Recent, this that we observe from the continuous monitors is that between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., the levels of black carbon, we're talking about black carbon, very, very, very high in the city. This is coming from the burning of ties, lorry ties. We suspect that it's coming from singeing of meats and burning of lorry ties. And then e-waste, because these levels, we can see them around the Dabraka catchment area. So these levels are really very high.
As we meander through the unending field, so is the change in air. Smoke billows on the horizon. Over the 2 decades of its existence, the Agbogbloshie e-waste hub is cited as one of the most polluted places in the capital, and so obviously making them an headquarters popularly known in local parlance as Kayaye, the worst affected from respiratory-related diseases, having dominated the space.
We should remember that Agbogbloshie or Old Fadama, illnesses there you might not know how, but it's linked in one way or the other to you, because they work in the market you go to buy your things. They carry your things for you. If he has any pathogen, any illness, the tendency is that you pick it up from whoever carries it, take it home, and your family too can get it. So it's not their problem, it's a national problem.
It is known that high levels of air pollution cause a lot of health problems, generally upper respiratory, an increased risk of heart attack, coughing, breathing problems, irritation of the eyes, nose and throat. Air pollution can also cause worsening of existing heart problems such as asthma and other lungs complications. Not to talk of the long-term health implications from air pollution, heart disease, lung cancer, damage to the nerves, brain, kidneys, liver and other organs. Some scientists even suspect air pollutants cause birth defects.
It is not only with the scrap dealers that do the burning. There are people who bring sawdust from the sawmills where they go to the back there and then they do the burning. But the moment somebody sees smoke in the air, people create the assumption that it is the scrap dealers that are, doing that burning. There are people who also burn lorry ties. There are people who also kill cows and goats at the back there, and then they use the lorry ties to burn the cows and then the goats, thereby emitting the smoke into the atmosphere.
But for some, working here has saved a lot of the youth from social vices and cut down on joblessness among that section of the population. And so the saying goes, when you confront a problem, you begin to solve it. But have the measures put in place yielded any results?
They are there for economic reasons. Mothers are there, fathers are there for the same economic reasons. So they give birth to them there, they go there. It's a vicious cycle. At a point, we have to tackle it. in different interventions to break it at one point. You have different NGOs there, several people there who have set up free education and others, but do they use the service?
That's why this ministry has taken the steps to pilot how to handle e-waste. We have a collection center. We have tied in a system where people who collect it, they have some funds available to them so that government buys it. And only recently at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, we set up a holding center. But down the chain, we have to set up a recycling plant. We are looking at the institutional arrangement. Actually, the institutional arrangements are even in place, but they are certain legal imponderables. So we set up that fund so that those under the polluter principle, those who bring in, e-equipment, they pay upfront through a third party, so that we can get a fund, a sustainable fund to manage e-waste in this country. So only recently we added other pollutants like mixed batteries to that. Conceptually, you could also consider them as e-waste, So we are doing that. But I'm looking forward, and in fact we have the arrangement that very soon we will go nationwide, because we believe that this thing will work. So Tamale, for example, is in sight. We'll be setting up a structure there. But at the end of the day, we want to go nationwide, and as and when we make determination as to where the big e-waste, menace is, we set up shop there and put in the arrangement so that we can collect them.
In a world now driven more by technology and millennials obsessed about the digital space, most definitely e-waste will continue to mass up, and those whose livelihood also depend on it will source for it.
That's a system tip. So it has so many things that he will remove inside. There are so many things that he will remove inside. If you look at here, you see aluminium here. When he breaks through the transformer, you will see copper inside. So he has to do all that. And the body itself is iron. So he has to separate them like that. He's extracting the other components from the CPU. He will remove all what he needs, and then he will sell the other ones to other people again. So as you can see, he's removing it. The wires, you still have wires in there. So the wires are made up of copper. So he will sell the wires to those who are dealing in copper. They will go and burn it and then remove it as copper. There are also aluminium parts inside. So he will sell that one to the aluminium dealers. Then after it all, he will sell the whole body, which is made up of iron, to the iron dealers too. So now what he needs here is the boards. These are the boards. These are what he's extracting from the CPU. This is what he needs at the end of it all. This is what he needs. So he will also take this one and then sell the other parts to the people who need them. So in a computer, you have the board 1, then you have the copper 2, you have aluminium 3, and you have the body, which is iron 4. So you get 4 materials from a CPU. We have a different type of cables, different type of cables. The wire is inside. So normally what we do is that we don't have any equipment that can remove the wire simply like that, than to burn it. I get in the problem. So that is where we need assistance, so that an equipment that can remove the wire simply and then leaving the rubber itself. So now we don't have anything like that than to burn it. And this is exactly what we are talking about. So we are now restricting them to stop the burning. So if we are stopping the burning, that means that all these materials will go waste. I get what I'm saying. So we are now going to look at the system that we can use that will be environmental friendly. Other than that, this is a huge money. We can't just throw it away like that. So we are looking at appropriate means of burning it. As you can see, they would have gone to burn it, but because of our restrictions, they can't. Are you getting me? Because of the restrictions that we have put in place at the scrap yard here, they can't burn it. That's why they dump it here. But they are not throwing it out though. So they are waiting at the measure that they will take and then extract the copper out from the wires. So that is basically our canker now, the robbers.
The GIZ has partnered government through the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation to train scrap dealers on the safe handling of e-waste.
As for us, we came here to look for money, and we found out that dealing with scraps will give us that money. We had no idea that dealing with scraps could be harmful to our health and the environment. But the training we have had, working with scraps no longer poses a threat to ourselves and the environment.
Screwdriver, loosely.
MESTI GIZ e-waste program is a collaboration between the German and the Ghanaian government to address serious issue on the level of e-waste management, and this is where the Agbogbloshie scrapyard plays a very crucial role, because we estimate that about 40% of all the e-waste handled in Ghana are dismantled there. So it's one of the hotspots of e-waste management in Ghana. If we succeed together with MESTI to reduce the hazards there, we contribute essentially to a reduction of environmental pollution caused by inappropriate recycling of e-waste.
And that solves just a fraction of the problem at hand.
The approach will be multifaceted, not necessarily in the direction of us as healthcare providers. It's a bigger question. These ones migrate from wherever they come from to settle there because of economic reasons. We need to tackle it from there. When they come, there are several interventions I'm aware currently ongoing to be able to reduce the pollution, the pollutants at the area. We can talk of the e-waste project and all. We have benefited from a clinic situated at, we call it the Onion Clinic. From this project, the e-waste, the GIZ e-waste project, we have a clinic there to tackle some of these ailments that come out as a result of the activities over there. But I think it takes a more policy, approach or a decision. It won't come from just us as healthcare providers. We have to make a decision as to what to do with the people there.
The reduction of burning through cables is one very important aspect, but the improper dismantling of e-waste as well causes pollution through the ground. A lot of oil is dropped into the ground. Hazardous components like batteries, mercury-containing lamps, capacitors are illegally dumped there as well, and all these fractions need to be destined to proper disposal.
For some environmentalists, electronic devices must be made to last longer and more repairable to reduce e-waste.
If the different actors in the whole chain are better connected, Ghana could make better use, and as well concerns of revenues, more sophisticated products produced out of electronic components, introducing technologies which contribute to a higher recovery rates and as well into a better material flow.
With awareness about the dangers and determined to secure their jobs, the scrap dealers are also instituting measures to curtail the pollution.
These were the areas we used to burn the copper. Over the time when you come here, you will see the amount of smoke that will be here. Even if you look at the area itself, it will tell you the amount of fire that is being burnt here. So you can also see now that we are putting pavilions on the boiler. So very soon the boiler will stop here, because that is the only way we can stop the boiler here, by allocating it to people. When we allocate it to people, when somebody is in his pavilion and you can't dump boiler there, you get it. So you see that people are putting up their structures. So very soon it will take over. So you see people bringing them. We can't control them, because if we ask him not to bring it here, we don't have a place, or we don't have dustbins where we will put them. So that is why the secretary mentioned that we have applied to Agbogbloshie Central to give us dustbins, so that when those dustbins came, we'll put them at the vantage points, so that these people will put it in the dustbin and the car will come and carry it away. So initially this was just a big boiler here. So because we are hard this time, it's now coming down. So we try to control it, but we can't. But we have resorted that we are going to allocate the place to other people. So that is why you see the boiler coming down. Because very soon when these people move in here, they won't allow you to come and dump boiler here. So that is the initiative we have taken here. So I believe next time when you come, you see a whole place being turned as a working place, but not a boiler place. So these people, you see that they are extracting small things out of the boiler that they have taken. They are also going to make money out of that. The small ions that are being found on the boiler, that is what they are removing. So it's also going to gather the small things and then go and weigh it and get something. That is what they are doing here.
We want to stop the burning, but what are some of the alternative actions that we can also use in order that when we stop the burning, we can be able to achieve that? Now we've had all discussions with government. Now that is, when I say government, I mean specifically the Ministry of Environment. They are the ministry that we are working with, the Ministry of Local Government too, and other ministries too. We are working with them, including Environmental Protection Agency. All these groups, we are all working with them. So because of that, we've had discussions with them to the extent that we've had a German organization that are working in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment. Now, understanding our activity, they have brought in a financial institution from Germany called KfW. They are now buying the cables from us together with the rubber to prevent the burning, so that other companies, organizations who have the machinery to deal with all this copper with the cable, they are able to send them to them, and they deal with it in order not to do the burning and thereby saving the environment. So we've had interactions with government. As a result of that, I can assure you that the burning has drastically reduced. And some of the other activities that generate burning, we as an association, we have taken a positive initiative. We've asked all our members to stop the burning, because if we don't stop the burning, we will not have any alternative way of dealing with it. So now we have all agreed to stop the burning. So those who are going to flout this our law, we have now arrested some of them and taken them to the police station, so that the police will deal with them, for them to know how serious this burning is. You understand? So many of them have stopped voluntarily, but those ones who are stubborn, we are causing arrests, and then we are compelling them so that they can be able to stop the burning. In the meantime, we have also started negotiating with the AMA, the Agbogbloshie Central Municipal Assembly, where we can have these rubbish bins, so that they can bring them here. All our boys can put in all the negative fractions, and then we all decide where they can take them to so that they will not burn them, but have a proper way of dealing with them so that we can all save ourselves from this environment.
Sharing his thoughts at the launch of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, the UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, said, "The Earth is resilient, but she needs our help. And maybe you will think twice before throwing a device away or an appliance you no longer have use for when you decide to. We are encouraged to have Mother Earth at heart."